This is week 3, rule 3. We're going to be talking about digital standards and boundaries. Digital standards on any project have to be the priority from the first day of that project. The challenges with standards is that they're not easy to implement from the start or the initiation of the project. The challenge comes in when someone is usually made responsible for maintaining all the standards throughout the project. Looking after a team and putting in boundaries is much like being a helicopter parent. For those of you who are parents, will know exactly what I mean when I talk about boundaries and putting in what we call practicing zero tolerance to help kids just survive. Give them an inch and they'll take the mile. If you seem too soft on them, they'll take advantage of you. The construction industry is no different. Being a BIM manager, the good thing about setting clear standards and zero tolerance is all you have to do is ask. Is this a breach on my project standards? If it is, stop it. If you allow it, the question is, where do you stop? These skills are core capabilities and they can't be ignored, and the boundaries must be set clear from the very start of the project. It's all very well to talk about great BIM marketing sales pitches, such as, if you implement BIM properly, it can reduce your design phase within your construction project by 30%. But wait, that's not all. You can reduce your design costs by 8%. It's easier said than done. If the standards and the boundaries are not understood properly by the team, the only people that will really benefit from this is the legal teams when things go wrong. And trust me, they will. The problem compounds when you have employees within your organization who have insufficient digital construction skills. And this also adds to the problem. Remember, employees can't expect the BIM manager or the digital lead to educate the entire project team. Many of the teams exist outside of the company. This insufficiency not only slows the BIM adoption down, but it creates the challenge of maintaining the traditional standards while trying to implement new digital standards onto the project. As an example, let's take a BIM Execution Plan, a BEP. Some even call it the Holy Grail of the project. Now, most BIM projects should have a BEP in place. It's not a standard. It's a guideline for the team to adhere to the standards. I'll guarantee you that almost 80% of your project team have never read the full BEP right through. And those who have will read it once and they'll never go back to it again. Yet the BEP is the lifeline of the project standard. And if your team are not fully engaged with the content, what other infringements or glitches are you going to have to deal with later on within the project? Another great example is those kickoff meetings within the design phases or your project design meetings, where you spend most of your time asking the team on what are the updates. In my experience, I've never heard of a meeting agenda where they ask the team, is everyone adhering to the standards within the BEP? This would obviously kill the project productivity. It's even worse when the responsibility for gathering all the updates is placed onto one single person. And that usually lands up being the BIM manager or the data manager. That person then continuously chases other team members, trying to ensure the standards are adhered to. This doesn't mean that you have to have hundreds of standards or rules laid out within your BEP, or for that matter, create a super contract for your BEP. In fact, those people who are still writing BEPs in Word documents, that's as bad as submitting 2D printed plans for plan submission. But at the same time, this means you need to decide on a few key boundaries that are absolutely crucial to you and your project team. Make it clear and firm that every team member needs to update their own tasks within the common data environment and not pass it on to the doc controller or the new rookie that's just joined the project. Everyone needs to either be a contributor or a participator within the BEP. And that's a good boundary to start off with. It might just sound like a job for some, but you aren't just dealing with individuals. You're dealing with a team, and the team need to have boundaries. Our mentor for this week is Rolf Montague from ArcDocs in Ireland. And he needs no introduction for those who know him for his relentless passion for driving standards for operational excellence in Ireland. Let's see what Rolf has to say.
Hi everyone from the beautiful city of Dublin in Ireland. I'm excited to be contributing to this program and thank you to Exceptional BIM for the opportunity to speak to you today. Today we're going to talk about setting boundaries for digital projects. The first thing we have to establish and agree is that boundaries are good and highly beneficial things. Many people have a negative connotation or reaction to the word boundaries and they don't see them as good things. They don't want to be told what to do or feel restricted in some way. The analogy I often use is the sport of rugby, which is a game I love to watch. If you gave 30 people a field and a ball and said, go play a game, there's no rules, there's no objectives, there's no boundaries, it would turn into chaos or boredom pretty quickly. And it wouldn't be a very interesting game to watch because nobody would know what to do. You have to set the objectives and the rules and create some competition, which is what makes the game interesting and exciting. You also have to monitor and enforce those rules. If we had no referee, no touch judges, no television, match officials, even though all the professional players know the rules, the game would still deteriorate into chaos as players try to bend the rules or take shortcuts. The most exciting and most entertaining games are the ones where you have highly professional players who know the rules and you have a good referee team monitoring those rules. These are the ingredients of a high-performing game. So you can see in this analogy that setting boundaries and enforcing those rules is a positive and beneficial thing for the outcome of the game. And as we begin to standardize those rules across geographies, it means that different teams from different countries can begin to play the same game in a worldwide competition, expanding the appeal and the attraction of the game. So how is this analogy applicable to construction? Well, if you said to a team of builders, there's a field, here's some materials, you professional builders, go and build a school. There's no information, no rules, no boundaries. You can just make it up as you go along. You've constructed buildings before, so you should know what to do. Well, I'm sure everyone would agree that that would deteriorate into chaos in no time, and nobody would be happy. But if you said to the same team, here's a fully resolved, fully coordinated and complete digital model of a school, and all you need to do is go and construct exactly what's been designed. You don't have to make any changes on site. That would be the perfect project for everyone, as there's clear boundaries, clear expectations, and as long as you had somebody who was checking that those boundaries are not being broken, and the builders are not trying to take shortcuts or bend the rules or leave things out or trying to use cheaper materials. At the end of the project, everyone would be happy. From this analogy, you can see that the ingredients of a successful project are as follows: a clearly defined scope of work, a fully resolved, fully coordinated, complete design that's been thoroughly analyzed for constructability and has been agreed by all the parties, a detailed and accurate logistical plan of work of how things are going to come together over time, what resources are required, and who's going to execute that work in a safe way. A detailed and accurate cost plan to make sure that we are purchasing the right resources, materials, labor, equipment at the right time, and we're not overspending or underfinancing. And lastly, stringent quality control procedures to check and ensure the work is being executed and planned in a safe way, correct first time, and that compromise or rework is being avoided. At the end of a successful project, all parties should be happy. The client would get exactly what they wanted in an agreed time and cost. The delivery team will have been fairly paid for the work they've done with no extra work, no rework, no abortive work or wasted time and materials. Of course, that's easier said than done. We all know that the reality on many projects is quite different. Most often, contracts are being agreed on incomplete design information, which is not coordinated, it's not complete, it's not fully resolved. The scope of work is unclear and there's misunderstanding between the parties as to what the finished product is going to be, or when it's going to be delivered, or how much it's going to cost. Delays in information flows are causing huge disruptions on site. Rework, abortive work, waste and compromise in quality. Time and costs are getting out of control. Over 70% of projects end up over budget and over time. Since we're talking about BIM or building information modeling, I want to shift focus to the role that information has in determining whether a project goes well or goes badly. Firstly, let's agree on a definition of what good quality information is versus poor quality information. Good quality information is correct, it's on time, it's easy to find, it's available and accessible to the people who need it, and it's in a format that's useful for people to use and to work with. Poor quality information is the opposite.